Hello! Today I will be talking about Secret Hitler, a party game for 5 to 10 players. It takes about 45 minutes to play and the age is 17 plus. In Secret Hitler we are liberals or fascists, and we can actually try to see if we can kill Hitler before he comes to power. If we can succeed, maybe we could have prevented the Second World War. Let's see how the game is played. In Secret Hitler, each player is secretly assigned a role: a liberal, a fascist, or Hitler. Each player will also be dealt a party membership card, either a liberal or a fascist. You will take the two cards and stuff it inside an envelope. And you will do this for all the rows and party membership cards. And then you will shuffle them and deal one out to each player. A player will also receive a Ja and Nein card. It's the German word for no and for yes. These cards will be used later on for voting. In the game, you will have some policies. You will have fascist policies or liberal policies. There are 6 liberal policies and 11 fascist policies. One player will start as the president, and the president will choose another player for government to be chancellor. All other players have to vote if they think this government is good. Do they think that it's a liberal policy if they are liberals? And of course, if they're fascist, they might not want to have 2 liberals being in the government, so they might vote no. So they will vote to see if the government goes through, and if the majority is 9, then it would fail, and the presidency would go to the next player, and the next player would choose a chancellor. And the election track here would go up 1 because we had a fail. The government didn't go through. If on the other hand there was most yeses, then the government would go through, and the president, he would then take the topmost 3 cards from this stack and look at them. In this case he had 2 liberals and a fascist. He then has to discard 1 card. The president, he had discarded 1 of the 3, and the chancellor, he would then choose one of these 2. Maybe I, in this case, would choose the liberal, and I would play disc 1 out to the board, and nearly everybody would be happy in this case. That the president, when he is in election with the chancellor, he can say nothing. He can't communicate, he mustn't speak, and the same goes for the chancellor. They have to be quiet when the president draws these. He can't go, oh no, kind of like, oh, I got 3 fascists or something. He cannot influence the game in that way. He has to just draw the 3 cards and discard a card, give these 2 to the chancellor without saying or communicating in any way. And as well for the chancellor, he takes the 2 cards and choose 1 and does not communicate. Only when the card is flipped over here, they can speak or lie and say whatever they want. This is a setup of the game for 7 players. We have 2 fascists and 1 Hitler, and when every player have been dealt a role card in the envelope, and everyone has checked to see what role they have, then all players, they have to close their eyes, put out a fist. There's an app being developed for navigating you through this setup, or you can just have 1 player saying what everybody has to do. So in this case, I would ask everyone to close their eyes, put out their fist, and then I would ask all the fascists to open their eyes, except Hitler, not Hitler, the fascists, and they would look at each other, find out who the other fascists are, and then Hitler will be asked to stick up his thumb so the fascist know who Hitler is. And then he would put down his thumb again and everybody would wake up. If by some accident someone else opens the eyes or there are too many looking at each other or someone forgets to open his eyes, then stop the game. You have to stop it immediately and then deal out these cards again and start again. So it would ruin the game if someone looked and wasn't a fascist, or if a fascist didn't open his eyes and see who the other fascists are and who Hitler is. When this is done, then you can start the game. I have chosen the mouse over here to be the president, and the president will start by dealing this one out to another player. And of course, in the first round, you don't know anything yet, so you have no idea who the fascists are and who the liberals are. I have marked here this over here that is Hitler. I have the mouse here with the brain die, and I have little Stitch here with a brain die as well. And those two, they are the fascists in this setup. So we have a fascist that starts as a president. The mouse here, he is the president and he will choose a chancellor. And when I've played the game, then normally we start with the people over here, because it will take some time before they get to be president. The dog is up next to receiving the president, and then the little dinosaur, and then Stitch. But it will take a while before the president marker here would come over to this side. So as the mouse here, now I know, while I'm a fascist, I know that the penguin is Hitler. I might want to make him look good, because in this game, if you're Hitler, you really want to play as liberal as you can, so that if 3 fascists have been enacted, then you really want to be elected as chancellor. Because if that happens, then the fascists win the game. So Hitler really wants to try and play as liberal as he can. And the 2 fascists, they know who Hitler is, and they know that he wants to be a liberal. So in this case, I could say, I want to go behind here, but I do not trust the cat, so I'll give this one to the penguin. And then everybody, they will have to vote, and in the start you know nothing, except of course for the fascists. So probably everybody would vote yes in the first, and you will have some that will vote no, just for the fun of it. But let's say everybody voted yes, and this government came through. Then the mouse would draw the 3 top policies and discard the fascist card here and give these 2 to the penguin. And the penguin, because he is Hitler, he really wants to look good and say, hey, I'm a good guy. So he discards the fascist card and puts out the liberal, and the most of the people, they are happy. We got a liberal policy through. After they put out this liberal policy, then they can tell anything they want. And the mouse could say, hey, I had 2 fascists and 1 liberal. In this case, it was true, and I discarded 1 fascist and gave a fascist and liberal to the penguin. And the penguin, he took the liberal. So now we know that there should be 5 liberal cards left in this deck, and 9 fascist cards, because there are 11 fascist and 6 liberal cards. It's important for the players to try to keep track on how many liberals are left here in this deck. They have to use that to kind of find out if they think people are lying or not. If it's possible that someone would get 3 fascists. Now the president will go to the dog, and he will have the chancellor here. Now, it's important. The dog cannot choose the mouse or the penguin to be a chancellor now, because the last government that was enacted, those, they cannot be chosen again for the next election. So you have to choose one of the others. You cannot choose one of those two. So the dog might say, I don't know why I shouldn't trust the cat, and I give the chancellor to the cat. And people would then again vote, and if it's a yes, then the dog would take the 3, and he might say, I want to test the cat. They are both liberals here. I'll discard the liberal, and I will give him a liberal and a fascist. Then if he chooses this one, I know he's a liar. I know he's a fascist. So this one goes to the cat. In this case, the cat would choose the liberal, because he's liberal too. And now we have already 2 liberal parties. Then the presidency will go to the dinosaur. Now the dinosaur can choose the mouse or the penguin if he wants to. He can also choose another player. But the presidency will go to little Stitch in a moment. And not so far away from the little zombie guy over here. So he might say, hey, I think you two, you did a good job the last time, so I might try and want to give it to the mouse. And since everything is good, nothing bad has happened, so everybody votes yes again. And in this case, there was 2 liberals and a fascist. The dinosaur discards the liberal to see, hey, I want to test the mouse to see if he really is a liberal. So the mouse gets the card. This time he chooses the fascist. And now the accusing starts. When this one hits the table, the dinosaur would say, hey, I drew 2 liberals and 1 fascist. I gave you a fascist and a liberal, and you chose the fascist. You must be a fascist. And the mouse would, of course, say, no. I got 2 fascists. You gave me 2 fascists. And now we would know that one of these 2 we cannot trust. We don't know which one, but we just have the knowledge of that one of these 2 is a fascist. And then the little presidency would go to Stitch. And Stitch, he will say, of course we cannot choose the dinosaur or the mouse, and he wouldn't want to in this case, because they failed. There's one of those 2 people we cannot trust. So he say, hey, the president over here, he did good. Or maybe he will send it to another, because little Stitch here, he knows that when the dinosaur says that there were 2 liberal and a fascist, he knows the mouse is a fascist. So the dinosaur is probably speaking the truth. And if he's speaking the truth, then there have been 2 more liberals and 1 other also discarded. It would say that 5 liberals have actually been seen. So there is only 1 liberal card left in this whole stack. So the possibility of being a lot of fascist cards in this stack is high. So if I was Stitch, I wouldn't choose the penguin to be president now, because it might make him look bad if there are 3 fascist cards here. And he has to choose a fascist. So I might say, I think I'll go with the zombie over here. He haven't played yet. We know nothing about him. And then let's say everybody vote yes. Then he would have 3. And yes, that was 3 fascist cards. That was what we fought in this case. So he will give them to the zombie, and he has, even though he's liberal, he has to choose the fascist. And in this case, the president investigates a player's party membership card. In this case, our little Stitch here would say, oof, I draw 3 fascists. I couldn't give him anything. So the zombie guy, he's not to blame for this fascist that came out. And then people can think if they want to believe him or not. But the president, he gets to look at another person's membership card. So he might say, I want to look at the dinosaur, perhaps. He could also look at the president and say, hey, he's okay, but he looks at them, and the dinosaur takes out his membership card. Nobody else should, of course, see it, and little Stitch can see the membership card, and in this case, he was a liberal. Now, Stitch can then speak about what he thinks about the little dinosaur. Now, little Stitch can tell about what he saw. And in this case, he would say, hey, he's a fascist. I saw he belongs to the fascist party. And now these two will have an argument because this dinosaur is getting pretty frustrated. I mean, I know I'm a liberal and the guy over there and him. So who will people trust? There are two people now accusing this one for being a fascist. And he, of course, accuses the mouse and the little Stitch for being fascists. But who can you trust of these three? So it might be that the little mouse and Stitch can convince the others that it's the dinosaur that is a fascist and we can't trust him. And this is just how the game is played. And of course, if now the presidency went over here and he said, hey, I actually believe the dinosaur and I will give him chancellor, then you would probably see a lot of no votes and the government wouldn't go through because they don't trust the dinosaur. And then you would move up the marker of the game. Eh? And if it failed, this one would go to the next. The penguin would then choose who to be chancellor. And he would say, hey, we made a good government, us two, the last time. So maybe I'll choose you to be the chancellor. And if that also fails because they do not trust any one of these three, then it would go one up and the cat would have to choose. And if that failed again, because let's say he chose this one and it failed again and went up here, then we'll have to draw the topmost card here as a policy. And it was a fascist. And this one would go down to 0. And the president picks the next presidential candidate. This one would not happen. If it happens like this, then the president do not get the action here for the fascist. So only when the policy have been elected by the chancellor, then this action happens. And the game proceeds until either Hitler is killed, Hitler gets elected. If he got elected now as chancellor, when there are 3 policies, then the fascist would win. If one more fascist was enacted in the normal way, then the president would get to kill another player. And if it was Hitler that was killed, then the liberals would win. So if the fascists have got 6 fascists enacted, then they would win. If the liberals, they got 5 liberals up here, then they would win. And that is how you play Secret Hitler. In the game, you can sometimes be a bit frustrated if you are liberal and you find out that somebody is a fascist and nobody will believe you. And that can be pretty frustrating. And also, it's a challenge for you to try to convince the others that you are the liberal, even though somebody might. You sometimes have to choose a fascist policy, even though you are liberal. Sometimes you can do nothing about it because you only got fascist cards to choose from. It's when you are a fascist, getting the others to believe that you actually is a liberal, and maybe getting someone that is liberal accused of being a fascist and having the others to believe you. it's a challenge, but it's rewarding when you sometimes can see you have made a good play. And of course, the next game, nobody will believe you, but hey, that's the game. So if you like games where you are all active and you are in the game all the time, you have to pay attention to what the others are doing and what policies they're taking and what they are saying. Then and if you like games, cooperative games where you do have a trader element in the game, then you might also enjoy Secret Hitler. I think it's a fantastic game, especially if you have a good group of people where they are all engaged in the game and really try their best to play the role they have in the game. Then I think you can have a lot of enjoyment with Secret Hitler. I can definitely recommend Secret Hitler. So if you like those kind of games, it might be that this game would also be for you.